Your Excellency, the Ambassador of Ukraine to Cyprus, Mr. Ruslan Nimchinsky, Professor Liubov Dubarovina, Professor Papanikolas, Dr. Bakirdzis, dear colleagues and dear friends, we are here today because we have spent many months designing an agreement which will contribute to highlighting the mutual culture of Cyprus and Ukraine. So it's a very happy occasion to be able to finally sign this agreement, which you will learn more about during the process of this event. In order to start, I would like to invite His Excellency, the Ambassador of Ukraine to Cyprus, Mr. Ruslan Nimchinsky, to say a few words of introduction. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for giving me the floor. First of all, I would like to express my highest esteem and deep appreciation to the key leaders who are here with us today. General Director of Vernadskyi National Library of Ukraine, Professor Liubov Dubrovina, Liubov Andreevna Shirvitanya, Director of the Department of Antiquities, the Republic of Cyprus, Dr. Marina Solomidou Ieronimidou, the President of the Cyprus Institute, Professor Kostas Papanikolas. Distinguished participants, dear friends, I'm so delighted to join you today at this ceremony of signing the agreement between the Vernadskyi National Library of Ukraine and the Cyprus Institute on the joint Ukrainian-Cyprus research and educational project. Let me say that signing this document and today's event has a special meaning for us. It's a special day. I think at least for two reasons. First of all, it proves the existence of long historic ties between our nations, between Ukrainians and Cypriots. I strongly believe that the implementation of this project would bring some new information for us that might open the veil of some unknown facts in the history of Ukraine-Cyprus relations, and would definitely, I believe, I hope very strongly, would pave the way for future projects that would absolutely strengthen our bilateral cooperation in science, in culture, which is extremely important. And secondly, starting this project is very symbolic, as in 2 days, on the 19th of February, Ukraine and the Republic of Cyprus will mark the 30th anniversary of the establishment of bilateral diplomatic relations. Let me say that since that day, 30 years ago, we have developed very friendly and cordial relationship between Ukraine and Cyprus. We have started cooperation on many fields, specifically according to the agreement that we signed back in 2012 on the economic, scientific, technical, and industrial cooperation, which is one of the most effective instruments in our bilateral legal base. So let me say that today we look forward with a lot of optimism to further strengthen our bilateral, both political dialogue, our cooperation in many areas, in many spheres of our mutual interest. And I strongly believe that this project, the cooperation in this field, would be a great part of that our big bilateral endeavor. So with this said, I would wish to thank the leadership of your institutions. I would wish to thank all those friends and colleagues who made it possible for us to prepare these documents and to bring us together for the ceremony of signing the document. I just can only wish the participants, I can only wish all of us fruitful implementation of this project and new discoveries. So I thank you so much. My sincere congratulations on this historic day. Thank you.
Your Excellency, thank you very much. Thank you also, of course, to the Embassy of Ukraine, and in particular, Mr. Dimitros Stankiewicz, who has been with us for so many months and helped to make this possible. Our next speaker, Dr. Marina Solomidou Hieronimidou, the Director of the Department of Antiquities, was very keen to join us today, but unfortunately, she's feeling unwell. But she has sent us a video, which we will now show in her stead. Thank you very much.
A very good morning to all of you. I am very pleased to participate in today's online event and to express my sincere support to the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding between the Cyprus Institute and the Vernadskyi National Library of Ukraine to promote their closer collaboration in research and education. Moreover, I am excited that this collaboration will begin with a focus on the very important manuscript, the travel account of monk Vasiliy Grigorievich Barskyi from Kiev, who traveled to Cyprus in the 18th century, spent considerable time in the island, and left us invaluable descriptions and drawings of his visits. I want to congratulate the signees for this initiative, the president of the Cyprus Institute, Professor Kostas Papanikolas, and the director of the National Library of Ukraine, Professor Dubarovina, as well as the Embassy of Ukrainian-Cyprus and His Excellency, the Ukrainian Ambassador, Mr. Nemchinsky, for making this possible. On behalf of the Department of Antiquities, which is the competent governmental authority for the preservation, protection, and promotion of Cypriot ancient monuments and movable antiquities, I see great potential in the planned study of the important manuscript. Barskyi's account is a valuable historical source for the cultural heritage of our island, and the Kiev monks' descriptions remain a standard reference for the state of numerous of our monuments in the 18th century. Among the sites he visited are famous Byzantine and medieval monasteries and churches, many of them decorated with very important wall paintings. Several of the UNESCO-listed painted churches of the Troodos region are included in the travel account, and I look forward to the study of the historical source as a way to enrich our knowledge and understanding of these monuments. The established and ongoing collaboration of the Department of Antiquities with the Cyprus Institute, and in particular its Science and Technology in Archaeology and Culture Research Center, concerns a range of activities and projects. Among them is the interdisciplinary study of the Troodos churches, and I foresee and welcome the opportunity to further enrich and promote our focus on these very important sites of the Byzantine and medieval history of Cyprus. The Cyprus Institute's capacity to use digital technologies and analytical tools is of great importance. Of course, the overall digitization of cultural heritage is a necessity for our purposes, something which is in full alignment with European priorities. I should mention here that in compliance with those priorities, the Department of Antiquities has launched an in-house digitization project since 2009, co-financed by the Norwegian Financial Mechanism and the Republic of Cyprus, the Cyprus Archaeological Digitization Program, CADIP, aiming to the digitization of movable antiquities, ancient monuments, and surveyed areas through a custom database designed to accommodate full descriptive information. The project currently focuses on the digitization of more than 95,000 movable antiquities, for which 8 archaeologists have been contracted through a new grant secured under the EEA and Norway Grants Programming Period 2014-2021. I am pleased to report that thus far, approximately 1,600 monuments and sites, 39,000 movable antiquities, and 3,500 surveyed areas have been digitized. It goes without saying that the use of technology carries great potential in relation to issues of protection, management, education, as well as the valorization of cultural heritage. I am particularly looking forward to the opportunities this collaboration will provide. I will conclude by expressing my support to this effort, and I hope this will be only the beginning of exciting research and education opportunities. I'm also happy to see Cyprus and Ukraine finding ways to come closer through shared histories and cultural experiences. Once more, congratulations.
Thank you to Dr. Marina Solomidou Ieronimidou for that message. I would now like to give the floor to Professor Kostas Papanikolas, President of the Cyprus Institute.
Your Excellency, Ambassador of Ukraine to Cyprus, dear General Director of the Vernadskyi National Library of Ukraine, dear Director of Antiquities of the Department of Cyprus, it's really a great occasion to particularly pleased to see that the collaborative exchanges which have been going on for a long time between researchers from the Vernadskyi National Library of Ukraine and the Cyprus Institute now matured, and they will be formalized through this MoU that we are signing today, with the great help of the Embassy of Ukraine and our International Relations Office. If I have only one regret, is that we are not able to celebrate, as it was originally planned, this very important milestone at Kiev. I hope that this will be feasible in the near future, and also with a follow-up visit of our Ukrainian colleagues to Cyprus and to the Cyprus Institute. I would like actually to make an observation. These days we know that Ukraine is going through very difficult situation with the clouds of war all over Europe. And this is really, I see it also as a sign of hope that we are looking at the future through the future of our peaceful, based on culture and history, exchange between our peoples, our nations, and this is the way forward to do. So I take note of this as a sign of hope, not only for Cyprus and Ukraine, but for the entire European continent. This memorandum of understanding effectively established the bridge now, it formalized it between our two countries for the exchange of research and education. We should see it in this broader context. The promotion of cultural heritage as a vehicle for scholarly synergies carries, in my opinion, great, and as I pointed out, very timely significance. For the Cyprus Institute, the development of cross-disciplinary research and international collaborations are key to our priorities, and we aspire to strengthen this research community of Cyprus and to help transform our economy to an economy based on knowledge and making use of the rather rich cultural heritage that we have inherited. Recognizing our unique geopolitical situation in this troubled part of the world, the Eastern Mediterranean and Middle East, and likewise the corresponding one in Ukraine, our institute aspires in this to overall geopolitical context to play a gateway to research, to enhancement of our culture, to technology in the Eastern Mediterranean and Middle East, and tie this to the entire European continent for the prosperity and peace of the region and the nations involved. I'm very happy to see our collaboration built around a concrete research project, although this collaboration transcends and is far bigger than the particular project. The interdisciplinary study of the very famous manuscript of Vasiliy Grigorovich Barskyi, who traveled across the East and recorded many sacred places of Catholic West and Orthodox East in the 18th century. He kept detailed diary, as we all know, of his journeys and systematically draw sites, cities, and monasteries. His travels through our island remained a most valuable historical source of our history in the 18th century. I'm confident that the close collaboration of researchers from the Vernadskyi National Library and our Institute of Science and Technology in Archaeology and Culture Research Center and the Andreas Pitas Art Characterization Laboratories will produce excellent results and will open many new avenues, probably as a result of this research, will extend to other directions which we cannot foresee at the moment, actually. This is the beauty of research, to widen this collaboration. I also hope to expand the descriptions of the Barskyi's diary towards the visualization and digital mapping of these itineraries across the island. And we do have the technology to use very fancy visualization technologies to make this more accessible to students and to the wider public. I truly hope that this will only be a pilot beginning project for our collaboration and will pave the way for, as I said, broader and joint projects. It is, I believe, a great opportunity for Cyprus and Ukraine to forge closer ties and to learn about each other's rich cultural past and rich, I hope, cultural future, and to highlight the historic ties between our two countries, as the ambassador already has highlighted. Ukraine and the Republic of Cyprus are celebrating this important milestone of their anniversary for the establishment of bilateral diplomatic relations. I will close by thanking all you involved in this collaboration, both on the Ukrainian side and on the Cyprus side, by making this agreement today a milestone we have reached, but also the beginning of a bright, I hope, future collaborative pathway. We hope that this project, it is the beginning of the long and fruitful collaboration that is to follow. I would like to thank again everybody, and I would be looking forward to the outcomes of this first project and the ones to follow. Thank you very much.
I would now like to invite the General Director of the Vernadskyi National Library in Ukraine, Professor Liubov Dubarovina, to address this session.
Your Excellency, Mr. Ruslan Nemchinsky, Ambassador of Ukraine to the Republic of Cyprus, Director of Cyprus Institute, Kostas Papanikolas, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure and honor to take part in this really important event for scientific and cultural cooperation. That's our collaboration between the Republic of Cyprus and Ukraine and signed from the Ukrainian side the Memorandum of Understanding on a joint Ukrainian-Cyprus research and educational project, 18th Cyprus century, through Vasiliy Barskyi's eyes. I would like to place emphasis on unique subject of this project. As under support from the Cyprus Institute, we have been able to investigate rare historical treasures of our library that preserves in Vernadskyi National Library of Ukraine, Institute of Manuscripts, and other our divisions. This manuscript was made by well-known in Ukraine, but not well-known in the world, Ukrainian monarch and pilgrim Vasiliy Barskyi, and presenting the wide panorama of sacred places of Catholic West and Orthodox East of those times, including locations in Cyprus. All of them are great historical cultures and scientific value. The project connected the great team of researchers from Republic of Cyprus and Ukraine, who are specialists in various fields of science, art, culture, and technology, with a purpose to study and rediscovery of the manuscript and the drawings using modern technology and approach. No doubt that such research will open new possibilities for a worldwide scientific community. It is important to note that the project will allow free access to the text of manuscript and drawings through digital domestic libraries of both Institute of Cyprus, Dioptra, and Vernadskyi National Library of Ukraine, Ukrainica. And one more very important point. Realization of this project gives us unprecedented opportunity of preserving the manuscript treasures connected with Cypriot culture and for future generations. I would like to express my deep gratitude for colleagues from the Cyprus Institute for their invitation, especially Professor Kostas Papanikolas, and great support for our project, and for their profound knowledge and professional approach to realization of this project. My special gratitude goes to Embassy of Ukraine, to the Republic of Cyprus, for constant support of the National Library of Ukraine in establishing and cultural and scientific relations between our countries. Practically, it is first great project between our countries, and particularly to His Excellency Mr. Ambassador Ruslan Nemchinsky and the First Secretary of the Embassy, Mr. Dmitro Stankevich. Thank you, everyone, for your attention.
Very much, Professor Dubarovina. Before we sign the agreement, Dr. Bakirtzis and Dr. Trentin, who are other researchers who've been working on this subject, will give us a short presentation about the project that we are talking about here today.
Thank you, Nick. I will be brief, but first of all, on behalf of course, both myself and my colleague, Dr. Mia Trentin, would sincerely like to thank everybody involved in making this possible. Of course, His Excellency, the Ambassador of Ukraine to Cyprus, the General Director of the National Library of Ukraine, and I'm very happy. We are extremely pleased to be in the position to at least hope for the moment we will be able to visit you in Kiev and look with our own eyes at this very impressive and very important manuscript we've been studying for years. The diary of the Ukrainian monk Vasiliy Grigorovich Barskyi is one of the most important travel accounts of the 18th century. the young Barskyi left Kiev as a 20-year-old theology student and traveled, as we heard, extensively across Europe and the Mediterranean for more than 20 years, leaving a detailed and lively description of his journeys. Among his destinations was the island of Cyprus. I'm showing you a map of his general journeys over the duration of these 20 years. He traveled primarily to sites of Orthodox cult and pilgrimage, keeping a detailed account and making numerous sketches and drawings which offer an extremely valuable yet understudied source for the history of all those sites and, for our purposes, the island of Cyprus. His diary offers a unique record of the topography, the art, the architecture, but also the social fabric of Cyprus in the 18th century. This is just an image to show you how images from the diary of Barskyi, just an indicative. This is a page depicting the Monastery of Morpho, here of St. Mamas in Morpho. These are the times that Barskyi visited Cyprus, and it's very important to note that especially in his fourth visit, he stayed for an extensive period between September and also August. I would like just to give you a sense of the way that he describes the island and its monasteries. This is a quote from his diary. Of the monasteries I speak about, I have visited more than 50 and painted them with my brush, the 20 most beautiful ones, recording accurately their structures. Concerning them, I will now speak in detail to every Orthodox reader and listener. As I said, that it's that fourth visit to the island that is the most important one, because he had to stay on the island. There was plague in the region, and he was actually hired by the Archbishop to teach Greek and Latin in Nicosia. He would take breaks and he would travel around the island. So these writings of Barskyi and his sketches remain, as I said, an invaluable source to historians, but also architectural historians and art historians. His descriptions are quite accurate. And I would say that not only as a source of description, we have to keep in mind, and this is where the importance of establishing this cultural bridge between Cyprus and Ukraine is important. Barskyi comes to Cyprus as an agent of the culture of his country, of Kiev of that time. He comes as a very educated, well-traveled individual, and his perspective of Cyprus and its monuments carries that context with him. I would even describe him as a cultural agent of his time, and he provides a very important worldview. So, beyond his travels and his sketches, what is important in Cyprus, and this is an area of the expertise of my colleague Mia Trentin, who I thank for her work and input in this. Barskyi actually left his writing. He left graffiti inscriptions marking his passage from various monuments, and in particular the ones that at least we have documented and we know of: Άγιος Μάμας in Morpho, Άγιος Νικόλαος της Στέγης in Κακοπετριά, Άγιος Ιωάννης Λαμπαντηθής in Καλοπαναγιώτης, the Παναγία του Άρα Κανία Λαγουδερά, and Apostolus Andreas Chapel in Kikos. Cyprus, as far as we know from now, is the only place where this graffiti has been documented. And I wanted to just show you a little bit how, so this is like a beautiful cartouche with his handwriting in Greek with a date, 1735, and he's described how I climbed up from Trikoukias to Troodos, and I described the mountain of Hionistra, Lúματα των Αετών, the marvelous Asbestos and St. Mamas, Kouremenos, and the Livadi to Pasha, and other places. Here is why I mentioned that it's valuable for the topography of the island at that time. Afterwards, I came also to the Holy Monastery. This is the St. Nicholas of the Roof monastery, to worship. I, the humblest among the monks, Basil, the Muscovite Russian monk from Kiev and traveler, 30th of July. We had the chance to study, analyze, use various spectral imaging and other technical photography techniques to document this invaluable graffiti, place it in the context of the architecture of the churches. And this is something that we intend to further expand. This is the detail. This was actually inscribed on one of the entry colonnettes framing the entry into the very important church of St. Mamas in Morpho. And another view I just wanted to show you. It's actually the graffiti is where the red square is. It moved right now. Just do a click to your right and you will see his cartouche next to the relic of the head of St. John Lambadistis at the homonymous monasteries on the Troodos churches. We've been taking our classes and our students to the monastery, highlighting this layered historical record of this important pilgrimage site. So, key steps. The digitization of the manuscript, which we will rely on the expertise of our colleagues at the National Library of Ukraine, and especially I want to thank also Dr. Evgenios Chernukin for all his collaboration and eagerness to contribute here. And then once we are able to digitize the manuscript and then of course study its context, we will proceed, and we want to proceed with the mapping and the visualization of his travels in the island of Cyprus. And you can only imagine how that rich material will give us the opportunity to build not only access to the manuscript, but we hope to also through the mutual libraries, digital libraries of the Institute and the National Library of Ukraine, but also to build a digital library highlighting this content, and then based on that promote these roots, these cultural roots through a variety of educational programs, but also material that will interest tourists, visitors that would like to explore and strengthen these connections between Cyprus and the Ukraine, thanks to the diary and the eyes of Vasiliy Grigorovich Barskyi. Thank you very much for your support in this.
Thank you very much, Nicholas. So we will now proceed with the signing of the agreement, which is obviously the first step towards actually doing all this wonderful work. So Professor Papanikolas will sign on behalf of the Cyprus Institute. Thank you very much. This brings this session to a close, but of course it's only the beginning, because now, of course, we look forward to the possibility of meeting in person and starting this scientific collaboration together. So I'd like to thank everybody who participated here today, everybody who contributed to making this happen, and we will, of course, be in contact immediately in order to start planning the work that we can do together. So thank you very much to everyone.